It's 8 minutes past 8 a.m. Welcome back. Remember, the hashtag is Morning Cafe. Right about now, I want to discuss matters seeking opportunities abroad. Now, in March 2023, President William Ruto said, while he was in Germany, said that Kenya has one of the finest human capital. So how can we really, capitalize on this? And what is the whole process of when you're in Kenya, even trying to seek an opportunity to get out of the country, if you really so wish? We'll be having this discussion with Bob Mwiti, who is the director of Kenya Airlift Program, right with me in studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Kusalama?
Salama sana. Thank you very much.
About 6 years now, since Kenya Airlift Program began. First of all, tell us who you are. And 6 years down the line, how is the whole process of seeking opportunities abroad, even for the young learners you really help?
Asante sana. So my name is Bob Mwiti, and I'm one of the directors of the Kenya Airlift Program. I started the program in 2018, having myself gone to the US as a student. And I went to the US in 2009. I was there to do my master's. Then later on, I graduated and got an opportunity to work there as a senior systems analyst. I used to implement a system called Oracle for Fortune 500 company. And then after that, I figured out that there was a lot of challenges for so many Kenyans who would love to go and study in the US, mostly to do with financing. That process of going and studying in the US actually cost a lot of money, on average maybe around 5 million. And of course, even the process itself, with visas and once you get to the other side, settling down and someone who can support you. That's why I formed the program.
And sorry to cut you short, how was it for you now? When you're preparing now to travel, the whole process of visa, passport. I mean, you talk to Kenyans right now, they tell you, my goodness, it's a headache. Even trying to get all this, together. You apply this year, October, and you get a call the next year.
Actually, yes, it's quite challenging, especially getting visa slots at the moment. Even those days, for me, actually, it took me quite a long time, actually years, because I was denied visa 4 times before I got there.
Right.
That was my 5th attempt for a visa. And this is something that a lot of actually Kenyans go through. You find you go to the embassy, you get denied visa the first time, second time. You get people getting denied so many times. And sometimes, if you don't have the patience, then of course you may not be able to relocate, because also, it takes a lot of patience, because sometimes when you go to that embassy and you get denied, you feel like you
leave it alone for that.
Hey, and of course also it's also costly. Going for the visa actually does it. It costs, like right now it's about almost 30,000 for the US. Yeah, and you can see if you get denied so many times, you just give up because you're spending so much time trying to get that visa. So it's a very long process, and even for me myself, it took quite a long time.
For the past 6 years, definitely a number of resources. You'll tell us your funding, which definitely comes in, but also speak on the whole job market competition. When you've learned in university here in Kenya, and you want now to seek opportunities abroad, either to further your studies, either to have maybe a job opportunity. How does that play in your experience?
Right. So first of all, if you go to the US, let's say, for example, you're going as a student. You're going there on a student visa. And having a student visa actually doesn't, in as much as you can be able to work, you're only allowed to work on campus during the time that you're in school. But now, when you are done with school, you really have to figure out how to find work if you want to live and work there. And I believe most Africans or most Kenyans, they want to go abroad and take up the opportunities that are there. Because, you don't want to spend like 5 million Kenya shillings. And then, of course, then go there, then come back immediately. You want to take up the opportunities. Now, luckily, the US government actually gives international students opportunities to find work once they are done with school. But it comes with some conditions, because if you really want to live and work there, you basically have to figure out now, how do you transition from being on a student visa to actually being able to get the visa that allows you to live and work there. And that's like a work visa, for example. And that's usually a big challenge for a lot of Africans. In fact, actually, that's one of the reasons, actually, outside of the funding that we normally support the students with, that was one of the reasons, actually, why I really came up with the Kenya Airlift Program, because personally, Personally, I faced those challenges. I went there as a student. It was very hard for me to transition. In fact, actually, I had to extend school by 1 semester. And that's a big problem for a lot of our people. But the opportunities are there. You just need to be able to figure out how to transition, maybe get more information before even you get there so that you have an idea of exactly how it really works, and then you can be able to take up the opportunities. But they are there, though.
So basically do your due diligence.
Do your due
research.
diligence, get a lot of information about how it really works. Because what I've seen with a lot of Kenyans, and me, that's actually how it was for me. Most of us, they just want to leave the country and just go. You know, you think like you're just going to land in the US and things will be...
as long as you take that photo at
the airport and you take the plane, you are all sorted. And then, like Professor said, you know, a lot of people struggle. People don't know what happens on the other side.
Now, talk to us about the struggle, because, I mean, we hear the stories maybe from close relatives, maybe from friends who are there, and even social media, they tell us, my first job, I was, you know, walking a dog maybe, and it earned me this amount of dollars. And you're like, what? How easy is it to get a job in abroad?
Well, you see, it depends with how you look at things. If you just want any job, you know, jobs iko huko, you know, kama ni kuosha, you know. Me, by the way, I used to work, nilikuwa nasaidia kupika pizza.
For real?
But yeah.
So
but that was in school.
So when you pick pizza,
cook clean, you cook bathrooms and all that. Those kind of jobs will give you probably maybe, depending on the state that you are in, probably maybe $10 an hour. It might look like it's a lot of money to so many Kenyans. Unajua $10 an hour, hiyo ni pesa ngapi?
Because say a dollar is about 150.
150, hiyo ni 1,500 per hour.
15, hey.
And you work like 8 hours, that's around maybe 12,000. But so 12,000, it might look like it's a lot of money, but actually it's really not a lot of money. So if you go there as a profession, like for example, I went there as a master's student, nilikuwa nimefanya job hapa kidogo. You don't want to be doing those low-paying jobs. In as much as they are paying $10 and may feel like $10 is a lot of money, you don't really want to be doing those kind of jobs because there are other jobs out there, but we get a lot of our people are not able to get those really, really good jobs because of the fact that also they don't have the right documents. For example, ukienda kama student na hujaweza kutransition uweze kupata the right working documents, you know, you won't be able to work in an organization like this where you are working maybe like a professional, like an IT consultant or something like that because you don't have the right documents. So you'll end up doing those low-paying jobs and unalipo under the table. And a lot of our people actually do those jobs because they don't have the documents. So the documents is a big deal. It's a big challenge, actually.
Right.
Yes.
The whole process of now seeking opportunities abroad. I mean, you're in Kenya, but then again, matters visas, matters a whole passports. A role is a whole big issue for us here.
Visa, of course, visa is the big elephant in the room. But still also, going and studying there, it's quite a challenge for a lot of Kenyans. You know, not many Kenyans are making a lot of money here. And, you know, averagely, you know, let's say, for example, like I went to do a master's program. To really get that kind of money for you to pursue a master's program, about 5 million. How many Kenyans can afford that? Too many.
Right, now on that, even a follow-up on that. Earlier in March, President William Ruto said that Kenya has one of the finest human capital, and we should really leverage on that, and, you know, exporting our human capital. Do you agree that we have the finest capital, human capital? We
do have, but also sometimes I also feel like maybe the government also need to lobby enough to the let's say for example even to the US to show them that we have the capital and we are valuable, because sometimes you find that I see a lot of really bright Kenyans getting denied visas at the US Embassy here in Nairobi. And these are students who are funded. These are really bright students. For example, even like in our Kenya Lift program, we normally take students who are going to do tech, you know, tech programs. These are STEM, you know, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. These are really, really good students. And sometimes also you find that some of these students, they get denied visas. And most of the time I feel like it's because to some extent, the US, they don't really see the value that some of these really bright Kenyan students have to them. And that's why sometimes they end up getting denied visas. But if you look and compare with, let's say, for example, like Indians Indians, for example, for the last 1 year, India sent around 50,000 students to the US. 50,000. Okay. Of course, India is big, but still, those are huge numbers. Yeah. Kenya here, we barely send, I think, over 5,000 students to the US. And yet we have really good, really bright students, mostly because some of them get denied visas. I think the government needs to lobby a little bit more.
Now I'm curious, how many students as your program? We'll take a short break. Hold that thought, hold that question. We'll be right back after this break. Remember, our question of the day for you is, what is your take on the whole process of seeking opportunities abroad? What is your take on the whole process of taking opportunities abroad? We will be right back after this break. Before we took a short break, Bob was telling me about the whole ALF program and the whole bottlenecks of visas, naninis of Tuzote. Yeah. But then I'm curious. Right now, 2,000 plus currently enrolled in the program. Yes. Since you began in 2018, how many students have benefited?
Yeah, as you said, we have about 2,000 students who are currently enrolled into the program, but those who are currently in the US, we are on countdown to 300 students. This August, we just got around 90 students who got visas. So in the process, a lot of them have been traveling for the last 2-3 weeks until end of this month for them.
Why the whole, if you're having 2,000 who enrolled, why is it that now...
The numbers are not closer. Because it takes a long time for you actually to relocate. You don't get into the program today and then travel maybe even next month. Actually, on average in our program, at least a year. At least a year. The reason is because...
So that's the shortest time you'd expect?
Yeah. That's the shortest time within the program because there are some exams that you have to take. For example, if you are going for... the Kenya ALF program, we take mostly master's students. And for you to go and pursue a master's program, you have to either take a GMAT or GRE exam, depending on the course that you are going to study. Okay. And that exam actually takes time for you to study for it. On average, about 3 or 4 months. Some students even take longer. Yeah, so, and then once you're done with that exam, now the process of applying to schools also takes time. On average, a school will respond to your application within a month. And then once now that is done, because also part of what we do in the Kenya ALF program, we finance the students. So that process of getting the financing also takes time. Takes like a month on average. And then now, once you get the financing, then the financing has to be certified by the school, which also takes time. Then after that, then now you have now to start the process of looking for a visa. Visas, to get visa dates, it's quite a challenge at the moment because of the fact that, there was COVID a few years ago, and there was a lot of applications that were piling, so they are really trying to sort that problem. So getting those visa dates is a problem also, so it takes time as well. And then after that, then now you start the whole process of, getting the tickets and all that. So on average, about a year. So in fact, actually, even though we started in late 2018, when we started the program, our first student went in 2020.
2 years later?
Almost 2 years, because of course, those early days, there's a lot of things that you were figuring out, 2020, and of course, COVID came in. So around 1 year, actually, there's no student that we took to the US. And then later on, now the program started picking up in 2021.
If it's 1 year that it takes to go to the US,
yes,
and benefit from this program in there, your preferred time, what will it be?
Well, actually, we enroll students on a continuous basis. But on the other side, the US schools usually admit students in, mostly it's in fall, which is August, and January. Although there are some universities that admit students in May, but very few of them, but mostly August and January. Right. So if, for example, if you want to go in August next year, you better be in the program now, because that will give you enough time to start preparing for those exams and school applications and those things, so that now you can be able to relocate in August of next year. Yeah, so it's a process that takes time. Mostly what I normally tell students is just to be patient, just follow the process, because you can't really just wake up and decide to go to the US the following month.
So ukiandikia to status, this is August, ukiandikia to status, I'm going to the US, you have to wait a whole year.
Tusiambie watu tunaenda US.
Relax kwanza.
Relax kwanza mpaka upate visa.
And, this is a question that I'll actually also chime in for. Prof, the whole language, barriers and the whole proficiency. I mean, for us, going to the US, we definitely speak English. US will obviously speak English.
Yeah.
So, but then now, I, as Stanley, I am applying to go to Germany, for example. I understand there are exams that I'd take for the German proficiency. What is the necessity of these exams, really? I mean, we live in a technological world. If I'm going to attend a class, I can wear the gadgets. Why would I need to take a German?
For you.
Yes. Why would I need to take a German test before I travel out of the country?
I really don't also understand, because especially even, for example, for the US, you find a lot of universities. I don't know whether the university that the professor teaches also requires us Kenyans to...
He'll tell us that.
He'll tell us. But I find a few of them, not a few actually, quite a number of them actually asking for English proficiency, which actually most of the time actually what we do even in the Kenya Lift program is we normally request the universities to waive that requirement for Kenyans, for students who are coming through the program, because we can speak English. I mean, I've been speaking English since I was, I don't know how old, but in as much as the accent there is quite heavy, sometimes you may not hear some of the things that they say, but it's English, you can understand, So I don't really see why there's a need for us to be doing those English proficiency. But these are the exams, like for example, GMAT, GRE, that really actually prepares you for the graduate level studies, because these are some of the exams that test your IQ levels, the way you think, those kind of things. Those exams are good. But here, English,
do you agree? Because when he said this, Kenyans on social media, they reacted this with mixed feelings. Some loading that, and others saying, what's wrong with opportunities here in Kenya? Kwani hatuna opportunities hapa Kenya, everyone really has to run away.
I'll say it's not really running away. You see, when you go out there, you're able to learn from some, you interact with a lot of international students, you're able to learn a lot of, different cultures, and it broadens your knowledge,
Okay.
If you just study here, it doesn't mean that, you won't be able to get opportunities that are here. It's a bad thing to study here in Kenya. But...
are there enough opportunities in Kenya?
Of course, if you compare with what is out there, I think there are more opportunities out there. In as much as there is opportunities here, there is more opportunities out there. So it's better to broaden your knowledge and be available for all those opportunities that are out there, because the world right now is, it's a global village. You can actually be able to work, not necessarily in the US, you can be able to work anywhere across the world, in Kenya, in Europe, wherever you are, And you can even go and study abroad and still be able to work in Kenya, be able to work in Europe, be able to work in Asia, because, with the technology and everything else, it's very, very easy to do that. But it's a good thing to go out there and see the world, and learn from other people and see how things work on the other side, It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I've learned a lot of things. I've been in the US for the last 14 years, and I can tell you there's a lot of things that I've learned. Some of those things I have come back and I try even to implement, even with my family and everybody that I interact with. So it's a good thing to go out there and see the world.
All right.
Yeah.
And before we wrap up, I'd love to get your take on Mwiti and also Prof. Back in March, again, the president said that they would love to review the diaspora policy. You say you've been abroad for 14 years.
Yeah.
Prof has been there since, the 90s. If you were to advise on reviewing the diaspora policy, where should we begin?
First of all, I feel like us in the diaspora, sometimes we struggle so much to get, some of the government services, especially to do with, renewing passports and, even getting IDs actually. Because you only have one consulate in DC, and I think there is an office in Los Angeles, but the US is so huge.
Yeah.
It's like almost like Africa. So people who are like, for example, in Florida, I live in Florida, going to DC, it's, I have to take a flight, it's costly, and just to get, maybe my ID. So if they can be able to decentralize, those services for people in the diaspora, that would be good, because also it means that we can be able to use some of those documents for us to be able to do transactions back home. Maybe, starting businesses here, investing back home, So it's much more easier if some of those services are decentralized. And I would urge the government to really, really invest in the diaspora because, for example, last year, our remittances for the diaspora was $4.something billion. That's a lot. That's more than almost all these other, areas within the economy that bring in, foreign exchange. So the government really need to invest in the diaspora.
Right.
Really, really need to invest in diaspora because these guys are going out there, trying to get opportunities and bringing back money. We invest here a lot.
Right.
And even and I also know that a lot of people also tend to say that we are taking the bright brains to go to the other side and leaving Kenya with nothing. Actually, I don't think that's the case because if you go out there, you can always bring back your skills here. We have the Vision 2030 that we need to actualize. Some of the skills, especially that we take even through the Kenya Lift program, which are tech skills, we need them here after some time. Skills like, for example, data science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, skills like cybersecurity. We need those skills in Kenya more, But going out there and getting those skills is a good thing, but later on you can be able to come back and utilize those skills. I had a meeting with the PS who is in charge of immigration. Bitok, and he was telling me that they are looking for actually people even who have gone to the diaspora and studied their really good tech skills so that they can come and help the government implement some of the projects that they have. And he was telling me they are ready to pay really good money, like something similar to what they are getting paid in the US. So they want them to come back here and utilize those skills because,
briefly,
they are needed.
But briefly, what does that now speak on our education system as a country? If you're going to seek the education outside there, now what about our education right here in Kenya?
The problem right now, especially when it comes to tech, is that some of the skills that you can be able to get on the other side, they are yet not here, or they are not quite really advanced. If you look at skills like, for example, artificial intelligence and machine learning, programs like those, we don't have them here. Right. In fact, actually, very few universities have, let's say, for example, Master of Science in Data Science or Artificial Intelligence or Machine Learning. Very few universities have the skills here. Okay. So if you can be able to maybe be able to offer those skills here locally, then, of course, people won't be able to go out there and look for those opportunities there. But again, also, people who are going there to get those skills, they are the ones who will come back and maybe become professors here. Just like the way professor was teaching at MKU,
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So maybe that's the way that you can be able to do it because we really need those skills, even also them being taught around here. They are quite valuable, like the way professor said. Our government needs to do more, especially when it comes to visas. Really, people are suffering out there. If it can go out there and lobby for our students to be able to get those visas, just show that we have really valuable students, Yeah, so that we don't have students getting denied visas right, left, and center. In fact, actually, I've been in the country for the last 4 months. I came in April. I've engaged the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. I sat down with CS Mutua. I had a meeting with the PS Rosaline, talking about the issues to do with visas. It's a big problem. Right. And our government is doing nothing about it, really. You can't say you are supporting the diaspora people and yet you are not going out there and talking to the people at the embassy and telling them why they should be giving visas to Kenyans, At the end of the day, we know that the US government is the one that has the prerogative of issuing visas, but if the government can put pressure on them and show the value of our students students should not be denied visas. Of course, we are not saying all the students should get visas, but at least those ones who deserve, they should be able to get visas, and our government needs to do more about that.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Bob Mwiti is Director of Kenya Lift Program.